Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews, and today we're looking at Black Clover Chapter number 8, The Thrust of the Finisher. Before anything else, I want to apologise, it has been late, because yesterday I was hoping to do it, but Gemini box was down, and then when it did come up, it was 1 or 2 in the morning, so I couldn't do the review then I went to work, lack of sleep, I finished early, come home, sleep, and doing daddy duty, now I'm here. The pleasures of being a parent, I guess, but I won't change it for the world. Anyway, we're here now, later than I expect, even though I'm planning to do this before 10. Let's get into this review. Quite a bit to talk about. Won't be a 5-point review, but there's little things I really enjoyed about this chapter, so let's get into it. So, the chapter. Relatively straightforward. There's a lot of overly simplified things, but there's good reasons for that. And then we end on an interesting note and plenty of setup for the next chapter. So let's break down what we have seen in this chapter, what this means to me, and what this possibly could mean for the future. And I'll give my thoughts. Not a 5-point review, but I'll enjoy it all the same. So let's talk about the funny things first of all. So one of the funny things I enjoyed about this chapter was the setup for the finisher. And what I liked about it, it was kind of showmanish. Like, he was a showman, there was some showmanship there. And they were talking about the finisher, and he's like, so about this finisher, well, it's nice that you asked. That kind of thing was kind of cool, and the way they played that was brilliant. And there was stupidity and funniness from Asta's side of it. There's like an element, or the part of this chapter where we're going through some of the abilities of Fana. And he's like, oh my god, you can use more than one technique. And then he asks Fana, he goes, oh, do you have a brother by any chance? He always looks angry and he's got a funny haircut. And I just found that funny. You shouldn't have just said his name. But do they know his name? I can't really think. I need to go back and watch. I will need to get those volumes very soon. But anyway, the fact that they did that was cool. I liked that. They had that humour side to it. So even in the midst of battle, there are some funny elements to this, which I really enjoyed. But going back to now the breakdown or the summary of the chapter with my thoughts. With the way it ended last chapter, I honestly thought that the salamander was done for, and for now the salamander were in a precarious situation, and that led to a golden opportunity to see this supposed final move or a final attack. But then the other abilities that Fana has, the gem ability kicked in, and then we saw a fire healing ability, which prompted the whole conversation about Mars or Math. Now, so that part was cool, because what that ultimately did was that created a platform for us to see this final move, to see how effective it really is. Because if Noella had just done the damage and basically the salamander was done and dusted, it wouldn't hold as much weight. So although you can see this as annoying and as a OP from Fana's point of view, it was really good and well played out how they did that to create a platform for Asta to do his move, for us to see, the readers, the audience, how effective it is. So although it's OP in one sense, it's actually good in another. So let's get into this technique. Ultimately, the technique is rather straightforward. It's basically an all or nothing thrust. It's the high risk, high reward situation type of thing, and it requires teamwork. Here's a worry I have with this technique though, other than the fact that it could miss and they can get their asses kicked, is the fact that he relies on teamwork. Now, the relying on teamwork is fine, but the problem you have with it is, will he develop to a point where he doesn't need that teamwork? Because it's the idea of skill and growth. If he gets to a point where he doesn't, I want that not to affect the dynamic of the team, because a lot of it is about the team dynamic, believing in each other, making the most of each other's abilities to be effective against a stronger enemy. So I hope that doesn't get taken away the stronger and the more developed Asta gets. So that's one thing I want them to hold true to, just to find a different way to do it. So that's important. Now, the effectiveness of this technique was brilliant, because he took out the salamander, and for all intents and purposes, for now was pretty much done. She isn't completely done, because they would have shown that, but they're probably going to leave that for a later date, for another twist or turn, but it has put her in a worse position than Noella's attack. What this tells you is a few different things. One, the technique, it's devastating if it lands. But number 2, what it tells you is the difference between magic on magic and anti-magic versus magic. Because Novella used her elemental advantage to do damage and, you know, surprise the enemy, but Asta uses anti-magic and shows how effective it is against magic users. So that's something important to bear in mind. So that's the finisher, and with it being called a bowl thrust or something like that, I don't read the official translation, it's, I guess, adequate, or it's appropriate because of he's from the Black Bulls and everything else, a bowl thrust. I like that. So that's important. So you got one-shotted and that's done. This, of course, impresses the Queen Witch, but then straight away we're taken from that to the next setup, which is the other side of the forest, which is we talk about this in the chapter, or we read this in the chapter, where they say, where is he anyway? He's on the other side of the forest. So this is good as well, because I don't know if you've like been watching my videos. If you haven't, please watch them. I really appreciate that. But when you go back, a lot of the times I'm asking, oh, when's Mars going to get involved? Where's Mars going to get involved? Is he going to get involved now? Is he going to jump in now? That's the question I keep asking. And this is the author's way of addressing that without him intervening with the fight. And we're not seeing the finisher or anything like that. So what's effectively happened is Fanal's gone doing her thing on one side and, you know, doing her thing on one element of the forest. And the other side of this forest or wooded area is the Diamond Kingdom's new generals, and we see, I think his name is Roland or Ronald or something like that. The guy that's got the creepy smile, basically, who looks like a psychopath and looks like he's related to Jack the Ripper. That would be a good fight, mind you. Anyway, so they are basically taking on Fanzel Kruger, and we get to see a little bit of their relationship, because like, who's that? And then, oh, it's Teacher. So he was a former soldier for Diamond Kingdom, and he was their teacher. Now, bearing in mind we don't have all the information in the manga per se canon. We have that light novel that's made canon now because of how it's linked in, but we'll find this as a way for people who haven't read the light novel to find out more about Fanzel Kruger, which I enjoy, and I think that's a really good idea. With all his quirks, his gracious things that he does, get naked and whatnot. So, another thing I want to touch on is the fact that the translation, it's not really clear what his name is. I used to call him Marth, and then people said his name was Mars, and the translation sometimes says Mars. It's Mars or Marth. Now, we know he's powerful, we know he's got some crazy abilities. He's only probably got more powerful considering where we saw him earlier, and it's nearly been a year since then. So that's pretty much going to set up the growth, I guess, and to show you how devastating they can really be. Ultimately setting up a bar of some sort, a measuring stick to show you where he is, how does he compare to and that ultimate will build to something in the future. But that's where the chapter ends. Now, one thing I really enjoyed, and again we didn't see this because it was in the light novel, but Fanzel Kruger effectively teaches swordsmanship to Asta, and we see him as a swordsman in this one. He uses that, and that's why they get on, and that's why they kind of have that link. Now, that's going to be an amazing fight. I cannot wait to see what happens, but I'm going to leave you with a question about Asta. So Asta at the moment, if you look at his wiki, look at his things, a lot of the things that he does is not normal, and his skills or attributes are above average. So he's physically above average, he's fast, he's got intense durability because he's like a little mini tank, a muscle tank. He's got some brilliant senses in the sense of he's got a kind of a battle sense that really works well to defend himself, and now he's developed ki. So ultimately, for me, I believe these are building blocks that will make him become a better fighter later on. But what he really lacks right now, more than specific finishers, is skill, and this is evidently shown in his finisher being really relatively straightforward. I'm hoping as the story progresses, we will see a lot more developed skill-wise from him, and eventually we might even see another type of sword that lends to that, something that's more of a dexterity type of thing, where he uses skill and speed in an intricate way to do damage. Samurai swords, maybe, a nice samurai sword, a kitana or a katana would be brilliant. Uji katana, some massive sword, kind of like the Bleach type of thing with the Bankai. I'm not going to get into Bleach, I know. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping it gears towards. I know we're going to find out about his past, the anti-magic, the demon stuff. There's probably going to be loads of that, but that's one thing I'm looking forward to. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, thank you very much, Leopold Vermillion, who is a subscriber for mine, and Joshua Peters. They don't always get along, but they are fans of the series as well as watching my videos. So thank you very much. Please continue to show your support by commenting and let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. Peace.